Assalamualaikum. We are from Group 2 and now we will be presenting our assignment topic, which is Neorealism. So let's get started.
Classical realism, developed in the early 1900s by Hans Morgenthau and E.H. Carr, focused on human nature and power struggle in world politics. Neorealism emerged in 1960, addressing academic shortcomings and focusing on structural limitation of the international system. As articulated by Ned Walt, Neorealism is an artistic movement that realistically depicts war, its causes and aftermath, along with ordinary human life. It is also known as structural realism and is distinguished by its economic, theoretical approach and simplistic assumption about international relations.
Hi, my name is Asha Rania binti Azhar. My student ID is 2023387821. I will be presenting the main principles of Neorealism theory. The first one is the anarchic. The first two concepts, anarchic and structure, are inextricably linked. The international system structure is said to be anarchic. The term anarchy does not imply the presence of chaos or disorder. It merely denotes the lack of a global government. While politics is not formally and hierarchically organized, since there is no overarching global authority that ensures security and stability in international interactions. For example, international politics is structured by anarchy. The international system is thus defined in terms of an anarchic international structure. The second one is the states as sovereign units. States as sovereign units are the main actors in these systems, means that in international relations, Neorealism emphasizes the state as the basic unit of analysis. A basic tenet of the state-centric approach is that states are seen as unitary, rational actors functioning in anarchic international systems, largely focused on ensuring their own security and survival. The third one is the distribution of capabilities and powers. Capabilities are essential for a state's survival. Survival motivates relative gains. A state's capability is determined by 5 primary elements. According to Neorealism, its natural resource endowment, demographic, economic, military, and technical capacity. States within the international system are differentiated based on their level of capability, since each state reaches a distinct level of capability, which largely supports its survival objectives. While the distribution of power in the international system is emphasized as a critical factor of state behavior in Neorealism, the distribution of power influences the likelihood of conflict and cooperation. The fourth one is national interest. States aims to develop their capacities in relation to rival states in order to achieve security. Assuring territorial, economic, and military security thus defines a state national's interest calculus. At the same time, a state's level of competence in comparison to others constrains or empowers governments to pursue such objectives.
Furthermore, Neorealism places a strong emphasis on security measures, asserting that the anarchic nature of the international system compels the state to focus on its security concerns. For example, during Cold War, United States focused on enhancing its military capabilities and forming alliances like NATO to safeguard its security. Other than that, Neorealism highlights the significance of the balance of power in the international system to ensure the security and existence of states. For instance, during the 19th century, the concept of Europe was established to maintain the balance of power and to prevent any European state from dominating the continent. This This resulted in a stable period in the European history. The third strength of Neorealism is that it advocates self-sufficiency. It urges the nations or states to reduce their dependency on other nations to better cope with various challenges, whether in terms of economy downturns or security threats. This can be seen in the North Korea Juche strategy, which emphasizes on self-sufficiency and enables the country to maintain its stability and security even in the face of global sanctions and security risks. Lastly, Neorealism assumes that the state operates rationally to maximize their interests. It explains how the government makes a strategic decision and responds to power inequalities based on their national interests. For example, the Iran Nuclear Agreement JCPOA. The Neorealist argues that Iran's pursuit for nuclear capabilities and their willingness to engage in a negotiation with major power like US is a rational action to enhance their regional security and influence.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Muhammad Hayaka bin Safri and I will analyze what is the weaknesses in Neorealism theory. The first weaknesses in Neorealism theory is simplistic assumptions about state behavior. According to Brown and Ainley, as an offensive realist, Walsh is unusual in arguing that the factors that act as the cause of war in today's world politics go beyond the notion of balance of power and nationalism. In doing so, it often ignores the complexities and nuances of national decision-making. By emphasizing systematic pressures and material capabilities, Neorealism ignores the role of domestic politics, ideology, and non-material factors in shaping the actions of nations. This theory's narrow focus on power dynamics ignores the complex interplay of various internal influences such as societal values, political ideologies, cultural norms, and bureaucratic interstices that impact foreign policy choices. The second weakness is limited attention to non-state actors. According to Itwell and Wright, nationalism, of course, is a phenomenon that could also be viewed as a social factor that, for some instances, play a significant role in causing war in present-day world politics. Neorealism's emphasis on the state as the primary actor in international relations tends to sideline the impact of non-state actors, which play increasingly pivotal roles in shaping global politics. These non-state actors, such as transnational organizations, influential individuals, and international organizations, possess considerable power to influence and even disrupt the international system. Their roles in economic, social, and political realms, along with their ability to exert influence beyond the national boundaries, challenge the neorealist state-centric perspective. Neglecting the impact of these non-state actors leads to an incomplete understanding of the complexities in global affairs, especially considering how these entities can instigate conflict, foster cooperation, or significantly impact state behavior beyond the scope of traditional state-centric analysis. Next, the third weakness is insufficient consideration of contemporary issues. Whilst neorealist approach, particularly structural realism, often encounters criticism for its limited applicability to contemporary global issues, especially in handling emerging challenges like nuclear non-proliferation and the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. Neorealism's focus on the structure of the international system and the power dynamics between states may not adequately address these complex contemporary issues. Whilst emphasized on the bipolar world and the dynamics between major powers during the Cold War era might not provide comprehensive insights into the challenges posed by a multipolar and interconnected global system. This theory's systematic nature often overlooks the intricacies of emerging threats like no one's solution to mitigate this contemporary risk. As a result, critics argue that neorealism, particularly in its original structural realized form, may not effectively adapt to or resolve the multifaceted challenges of modern world, limiting its applicability to current global dynamics. Lastly, one of the downturns of neorealism is neglect of the role of international institutions. Neorealism, with its primary focus on the anarchic structure of the international system and the role of states as primary actors, tends to understate the impact of international institutions on state behavior. While these theories acknowledge the existence of institutions, they often downplay their influence on shaping state interactions and decisions. Institutions like the United Nations, UN, or the regional organizations act as a crucial mediators, providing platforms for diplomacy, conflict resolution, and the establishment of global norms. They serve as mechanisms that facilitate cooperation and provide avenues for mitigating conflicts and fostering stability. However, neorealism's systematic approach tends to overlook the significance of these institutions in influencing state behavior, thus resulting in an incomplete understanding of the multifaceted dynamics within the international system, particularly in addressing how these institutions shape and regulate state interactions beyond the realm of pure power politics. That's all. Thank you.
The first impact of neorealism toward international relations is balance of power. The balance of power in international relations is a core element of neorealism, and it gives a significant impact on how the state interact with other states in the international system. The neorealists argue that states seek to balance their power with the opponents in order to protect the security of the state and the national interests. There are two ways to balance their power, which is by increasing their own power, where a state needs to engage with armed risks like United States and Soviet Union having nuclear power. The other way is by making alliances with other states to maintain security like United States, creating NATO, where it is consists of 12 states, and Soviet Union creating Warsaw Pact consists of 8 states. One of the key impacts the balance of power in neorealism on international relations is stability. Neorealism does promote stability in the international system where the power is being distributed evenly and bipolar system exists because of it. Unlike classical realism, neorealism distinguishes between multipolar and bipolar. According to Watts 1979, bipolar that less prone to war and changes in system is more stable than the multipolar, since multipolar can achieve the stability through internal balancing if there is power to form alliances. Next, moving forward, the second impact on neorealism toward international relations is foreign policy. Realist foreign policy is a framework to guide a state in international relations and diplomacy based on the principle of political realism, and it is a central driver of international relations. Realist foreign policy has a significant impact on international relations, like it is emphasized on how the state behave. As we know, the behavior of states include how the state behave, interact with other states, and make choices in international system. States are rational actors who will make decisions to fulfill their self-interest when making foreign policy decisions. Every decision made by the state will be calculate the cost and benefit carefully. They are very careful in make decisions and choices to align with their goals due to anarchic nature in the international system where they are the self-help and fully rely on themselves. A state stance on issues, alliances, and treaty obligations can either contribute to peaceful relation and cooperation with other states, or it will lead to conflict and disputes. For example, Southeast Asian countries have a similar stance resulting in peaceful relations between countries where these Southeast Asian countries want to maintain their common interests. Next, the third impact of neorealism toward international relations is anarchy and self-help. In neorealism theory, it highlights that the anarchic nature of international system where there is no central authority to enforce the rules or prevent the conflicts. According to Oskin and Sitin, 2016, anarchy can be defined as a state of chaos in which the relationship between the actors is deteriorating and disorganized with each other due to the absence of norms and rules. The central authority doesn't have the same level of power as state to enforcing the global law because the state is the main actor in international relations. However, anarchy and self-help concept will lead to competition among states when their interests clash with one another. The ending will be conflict and war. We can take a look the examples of the competition between United States and Soviet Union during World War II, where both of them compared to become the world leader and having armed races to show to the world who is the most powerful. The last impact of neorealism toward international relations is focus on state behavior. Focus on state behavior means the study and analysis of how countries behave, interact, and make choices in international system. They have to focus on state behavior because state holds the rules as the primary actor in international relations. The structure of system is shaping the behavior of state and it influences the state and dynamic of international relations. The structure can actually affect the choices that states make, like forming an alliances and engaging in diplomacy. For instance, we can see that North Korea are forming an alliances with Soviet Union during World War II because they share the same ideology.
In conclusion, neorealism, often known as structural realism in politics, is a theory of international relations that focuses on how the international system influences state action. It argues that nations are primarily driven by the desire for their own security and self-interest, and that the international system's anarchic nature leads in a never-ending struggle for domination and protections. Scholars such as Kenneth Waltz developed neorealism, which has had a significant impact on international affairs. This theory has pros and cons just like every other theory. In this presentation, my group members studied and evaluated the theory's positive and negative aspects, as well as how neorealism affects international relations. Throughout the presentations, one of the presenters was able to identify 4 problems in the theory. As a result, before I conclude this video presentations, I would like to make the following recommendations. Countries that wish to implement this theory may need to supplement it with other theories such as constructivism or liberalism in order to strengthen it and provide a more understanding of politics world. That's all from us. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.